Morning. 5:37 a.m. We were up at 5 a.m. Pow! Beginning of the 5 a.m. challenge, I think, has started. I forgot my wallet. That is probably one of the dangers of starting something that you're not used to and it being something that makes you tired. I would have gone to work there without my wallet, and in my wallet I have my pass to let me into the office building, and because I'm going in so early that would have caused issues and it would have put us behind. So glad I remembered my wallet. I'm probably forgetting something else. But we're going in very early today because we have a very early shoot. And it was something I was thinking about over the weekend, which is how many of us work outside of work hours? Now, it kind of asks the question as well that should we be working outside of work hours? Many of us will have jobs which require us to work outside of work hours, putting in more hours than you've signed to deliver on your contract. Now, sometimes these hours are factored into your contract as extra hours to go above and beyond as and when necessary, as and when required by the company. I work in an industry where it's expected for you to work outside of work hours, to put in those extra work hours. And thankfully, I also work in a company where the people I work with know that I do this. They know that I go above and beyond as and when it's necessary to get the job done. I also know that I work on projects that are going to require extra man hours outside of the work hours to be completed. I suppose one of the deciding factors in whether or not you personally feel okay with a job that requires this of you is, do you like your job? I can say for years working outside of work hours was annoying for me because I didn't necessarily always like the projects I was working on, and I would be putting in some shifts where I was running myself into the ground for the project, and because I didn't like it, I could become quite an annoying person. Ratty might be the word. But now I'm heading in very early for a shoot, which I've chosen to do very early because it was either do it late last night and then work through the night to get it done for this morning, which would then affect my times for work today, or do it today, this morning, early, and finish work early. It just means that the project I'm working on this morning is going to have to be turned around really quickly, and that puts you under pressure, but it's a healthy pressure. So do I like working outside of work hours? The answer would be only when the project requires it and if I enjoy it, or think of a way to get the project done so that the outside of work hours don't negatively affect upon your social life or your home life, if you want to call it. So today, for instance, I'm in early, but I'm going to leave the office early. I'm going to finish up early, which means I can get home early and do the things I want to do outside of work. And I already feel like I can see a positive side to this, in that I will have achieved a lot before the day is done. So the aim for me getting up at 5 a.m. every morning was always to be able to achieve things early. Let me rephrase that. The aim for me getting up at 5 a.m. was always to be able to achieve things, to start doing more and therefore seeing more results. This is the first day of getting up at 5 a.m. and I can already see that by the end of the day, if I manage to stay awake and get what I want done, I'll have achieved some goals. Now that's great. What if you don't like working outside of work hours, but your job constantly requires you to do so? Then maybe you're in the wrong job. Maybe it's not something that you should be doing long term, because long term, it's going to be detrimental to your health. It's going to certainly affect the way you think about your job. And then it's going to be detrimental to your employers. They're going to have someone who's delivering substandard, below par work purely because they don't want to be there doing it. Granted, we can't all choose where we work just because something comes up that we don't like about it. That's probably part and parcel for everyone's job all over the world. You'll have days where you don't want to be there and where you don't want to do that job. Absolutely fine. But in the long term, and we're talking over the course of months, years, you're going to be faced with a decision of whether or not you have to move on in that role. Because, number one, your health. Just think about yourself in that respect, that in the long term, do you want to be working those hours outside of work which are going to affect you negatively? No. So, if you don't happen to like working outside of work hours, either challenge yourself to get up early, tackle the work earlier, head on, so you can be out earlier, or begin to look at what you're actually doing. And it might not necessarily mean thinking you have to change your whole career options. You know, it's not like I work in the media industry and because I don't like working outside of work hours, I'm going to become a librarian. No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that look where you work, the hours you're doing there, whether or not it's the company you want to be doing that for in the long run, and make some decisions. I can say happily that I have found a role within a company that I already loved, which I now think I can invest good energy into outside of work hours to get things done. One of the things that used to bother me outside of work hours was communication, because I often felt like I didn't want to receive any communication about work outside of work hours, but that's because I wasn't enjoying it. Now, over the course of this weekend, there has been communication about things on WhatsApp, which I haven't minded taking part in. I've looked at emails, I've kept up to date with the conversations across social media, and I've done research outside of work for the projects we're doing at work. Now, granted, it's football and a lot of it involved watching the World Cup, but before, I would not have enjoyed this. I would have thought, no, look, you're intruding on my social life, you're intruding on my home life, you're intruding on my private life, and when I'm away from work, I don't want to think about work. That was my attitude before. Has it flipped? Possibly, because based on this first occurrence, I haven't minded it at all. I think it's largely got to do with the fact that I'm also being creative outside of work anyway. So whereas before I would sit at home and I wouldn't do anything, it affected me more because I just felt like I was doing work. Whereas now, yes, I am doing work outside of work hours, but I'm also doing my own work. I'm doing my own projects. I'm being creative outside of work hours, and that's fulfilling. So it's not as if I've just finished work on Friday and now I'm going back to work on Monday and that's it. That's the end of my life. No, I feel like I got a lot in this weekend. I finished work on the Friday. I've been getting in my poker hours, which I really wanted to do more of, which I really enjoy. It's proved fruitful. I've spent the whole weekend at home with Serena and Lando. And I've also got to creating another vlog. I did a beer vlog yesterday, and I'm going to finish the rest of that today to be uploaded this evening, and hopefully you'll get to see that in the next couple of days or so. Learning the processes to make new videos is hard. If you've got the skills, what you're trying to do is utilize those skills to make a good video production-wise, but you've no experience in that production field. So what I'm trying to say is basically making the vlog about how I make beer at home was hard. It's a timely process, and I just felt like it was difficult to get all of the information out in a fun, entertaining and informative way. So, but hopefully you'll see that real soon. And like I say, it's part of the reason why I don't mind working outside of work hours as long as I still find time to get my own creativity in. That's not a rant, is it? That's me discussing out loud my thoughts and feelings about working outside of work hours. And maybe you feel the same, maybe you don't. Maybe you've got something you want to say. I'd love to hear it. If you do, put it in the comments below and I could probably get back to you on that. My mum has just got a new job. So not only was my mum working 5 days full-time, she's also now taken up a 2 days part-time job on the weekend. So now she's working 7 days a week. Does she like working outside of work hours? Well, it seems like she likes to fit her hours outside of work with more work. But I still don't necessarily think she would like to have 2 jobs if she could afford to blow them both off and go on holiday for the rest of her life. But that's another story. That's a totally different situation. So anyway, I feel like I've spoken quite a lot this morning. It is 5:53 in the AM. I feel like I've already done so much for the day, and a day hasn't even started. So I'm just going to continue into work, maybe a bit of music, and I will catch up with you in the car park as I usually do, just to give my final thought and sign off. So I'll see you then. What are you talking about?
This first person normally in, it's Grant down here at 10 past 6.
Okay, what?
And then
Yeah.
I get the catering staff and bits and pieces.
You didn't expect to see this
I didn't
face.
expect to see you. I am well impressed.
Thank you very much. I'm going to tell them off in the office that. That's quite funny.
So they can ask me.
I will do. See you later.
See you later. Have a nice day.
The security guard is actually shocked to see me here at this time. The time is now 6:04 AM, and he has just explained to me that he sees the caterers come in first and then one of the doctors over in the academy building, and he's that shocked to see me he can't believe it. And yeah, I just find that quite funny. But you know, he might see me more often now at this time because the 5 AM start has began. Right, anyway, off to work. Busy day ahead, lots to do. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. And I look forward to doing another one of these real soon. Right, cheers. See you in a bit.